As you're joining, just let us know where you're tuning in from. My name is Adubia Foley, and I'm tuning in from Vancouver. I'm here to answer any questions that you might have as a newcomer to Canada, as an inspiring newcomer to Canada. And just a quick caveat that we are going to have a 15-minute rapid fire session today because we have an ill toddler at home. So we want to get to her quickly. But I'm here for the next 15 minutes to answer any questions that you might have about. Welcome from Maryland. We have someone in from Maryland. Thanks for joining. I'm going to give you a wave. And lower mainland, lower BC mainland. I know everyone is at home because we're living in a new normal. Let's see who else we have. Before I'll get started with some questions that I have that submitted to me earlier. And I have one question from Ravi is about how to get a job offer. So I get this question a lot from aspiring newcomers to Canada who are in the process, in the express entry process, and asking about how can I get more points. And with the express entry process that you have going to Canada, we have a comprehensive ranking system that works with a number of points, and then you have an express entry draw twice a month, sometimes more than that, depending on the program. And you usually have a minimum score that you want to achieve. If you get that minimum score, then you get invited to apply. Hi, Asan 30. Hello, welcome. Just let us know where you're coming in from. We're having a quick 15-minute session today, a rapid fire session of questions. I'm starting with two questions that I got that was submitted earlier. One from Ravi asking about how I can get a job offer or how I can increase my CRS score in the express entry. And what I was just saying was that one of the things that people are aware of is that when you get a qualified job offer that comes with a LIMA or a labor impact market assessment, it does boost up your score. And so it's something that a lot of people try to get. But there are other ways that you can boost your score. If you have a pretty low, hi, welcome from BC. If you have a pretty low IELTS test, you want to increase that by maybe retaking the test. And if you check out my page, I have 5 different accounts for you to follow. One of them is IELTS Advantage. And there's a lot of free resources online for you to retake that test to boost up your points. Hello. Another person joining, just let us know where you're joining from. We're getting into some rapid fire questions today. I'm answering 2 questions and then I'll get back to those of you who are on here live to answer your questions. So boosting your IELTS score points is another way. And then also if you have a second language, if you have if you're able to get a master's degree, if you have more work experience, you can go on the Canada website to find which categories can boost up your points if you're missing that job offer, because the job offer is difficult to find a job and to get a job, especially outside of Canada. And especially in these COVID times, it can be more difficult to get that job offer. So there's a number of other ways that you can look at increasing your points. So the other question that I got ahead of time was a question about resources or managing finances when you've just moved to Canada and you're new and it's going to take you some time. What language gives us points? We get points from the English language gives you point the IELTS test, and then you also get from the French, if you have French as a second language, is another 20 to 30 to 50 points that you can get from taking those tests. And if you retake the test, if you get a low band score in the 5s, you want to aim for that 7.5 to 8 band score for the English test. Hello, Adama Taylor. Thanks for joining. Just let us know when you join, where you are joining from. Is our second FAQ Monday. We started this live sessions because I get a lot of questions from a lot of you, and we thought, why don't we started with 30 minutes. Today we're going to do 15 minutes. We're still testing. We'll see how it goes. And then if we need to bump it up again to 30 minutes, we'll have another 30 minutes in 2 weeks. So the second question that I was answering was about finances and managing your finances. Joining from Atlanta, welcome. Joining from Washington, D.C., welcome. There's a lot of I'm getting a lot of U.S. requests. There is some uncertainty with what's happening south, and there's a lot of people looking at, exploring their options, exploring Canada, and exploring some ways and some pathways to immigrate to Canada, because as some of you may or may not know, Canada has over 80 different pathways to move to Canada, and so many people just explore Canada, look at Canada, and I do have a lot of requests coming in from the US. What you should prioritize if you don't have experience? That's one question that just came in. Canadian work experience. That is a very good question. You can check out a video that I have on my Start Grow Pivot YouTube channel that goes into so many different ways that you can gain that Canadian experience. But one of the ways that I tell a lot of people is volunteering. When you first come in as a new immigrant and you're applying for jobs and you have a lot of foreign references, it does make it difficult for hiring managers and HR managers to have a local reference for you or to have a local point for you. So they do see you as more of a risky hire, more of a costly hire requiring a lot more training. So I see that, and which has worked for a number of people, is volunteering in on a nonprofit board, or volunteering within your field, volunteering within your community centers, volunteering at the library, getting yourself setting yourself some roots in your new environment, and then you having it's not the entire of Canada, but it's more of a relationship, smaller field than especially the US. So you've got a lot of I run into people in Vancouver, 600,000 population. I ran into people on the streets, which is not something that typically happens to me when I used to live in Washington, D.C. You tend to see that relationships here can be very helpful because so many communities are linked, and you want to be volunteering for different organizations, joining different professional organizations, and making that community, building those connections. And that can be very helpful when you are applying for a job without the Canadian work experience, and you don't seem so much of an unknown entity. You actually are more of a known entity once you've got those community connections and you've got some local references. So that's one of the ways to be competitive. If you work for a Canadian company, if the company is registered as a US company, which is what a number of companies will do, they may be Canadian origin company, but they're registered as a US company. So even though it depends on the company registration. Even though you're technically working for a Canadian company, that company is registered as a US company and is seen as a US entity. If it does have a Canadian counterpart, that is a great way for you to be transferred. I have a friend who was working for a company in Nigeria and was able to transfer from that company to their Canadian branch. So that is a good advantage if you are able to get that internal transfer. But by also knowing that internal transfer is much easier for you if you've already got your Canadian work permit or you've already got your green card, then it's easier for the company to transfer you rather than the company having to do the immigration paperwork for you, because that can be very daunting, can be very expensive. So that is a question about if you work for a Canadian company in the US, would it count as relevant work experience. And no, it would have to be in Canada in a Canadian context, right? For a registered Canadian company that's paying taxes. Yes. And that your income taxes is going towards Canada. And that's one of the reasons why the Canadian experience class is one of the classes, because you are contributing to the economy of Canada essentially. So you want to be working for a company that's registered in Canada, and most likely in Canada, and contributing by living here, by paying taxes, by paying your GST and your PST. You're actually contributing to the economy, and that will help you qualify. And you need to have one year of full-time experience as well, and that helps you qualify for the Canadian experience class. Do we have any more questions? You can also submit a question using the question icon, and then I can share it for everyone to see, or you can also submit a question in the chat. Thanks for showing us some love. It's good to be live with you all. It really feels so much easier to get and answer your questions right off the bat. So if we don't have any more questions, I'll go back to some of the questions that were previously submitted to me. And I have a question about LinkedIn. A lot of people are wanting to know, how can recruiters notice me more on LinkedIn, and how can I start to appear in that feed? And that question has come. And so with LinkedIn, LinkedIn is becoming a search engine now. It's becoming a place where you start to become more searchable when you have a lot more connections, and when you're more active on LinkedIn, and when you are sort of commenting, you're liking posts, you're sharing articles. If you are genuinely interested in a particular area or field, it is now no longer enough to just be a LinkedIn passive member. You would have to be a very active member. And so LinkedIn is a place where I believe that people should be more active, and then they can improve their searchability in LinkedIn. And in terms of improving your resume and your LinkedIn profile, I have that's a startgrowpivot.com blog. I have some really interesting articles about how to improve your resume, your LinkedIn profile. And another tip that I can give you right here is that a lot of people have heard about the Canadian resume or the North American type resume. And what I have found is that the resume format and the resume differs from company to company. It differs from industry to industry. And right now it's even beginning to differ by role. You'll find that for more technical roles, having your resume be 2 or 3 pages, because you have to go more into the work that you do. Whereas with less technical roles, having a 1-page, 2-page resume that is more precise and concise, and highlights more of your achievements, and they don't necessarily need to see a lot of details in the work that you've done. So you can find there's some resume resources like resume.com, resume viewer. There's so many different resume resources on Monster, on Indeed, on LinkedIn as well. You can find a lot of LinkedIn courses and resume courses online for you to boost your resume, and try to look at resume templates for the roles that you're applying for. There's not one size fits all resume right now. The resumes are really different. There's a resume, especially in the artsy field. Some people have more arts and more creative resumes. So you can find resume templates on Etsy. You can find resume templates on Canva if you're in the more arts creative realm. But then you can also find resume templates on Monster, on Indeed, and try to find and model your resume and your LinkedIn profile to someone who is within the same role as you, because even in a role and company, it can be very different, the kind of resume that people are looking for. Hope that answers your question. Do we have any other questions that are coming through? Have a question that is really near and dear to my heart is how can newcomers avoid scams, and what are some of the traps that newcomers need to be aware of? And this is an interesting topic for me because I experienced some of these scams myself when I moved here. People realize when you're coming in as a newcomer, when you're coming in with a new social number, a new number, your number gets changed, you're starting to get into the system, you're essentially a target. You're a target by a lot of people because they know that you're not fully aware or fully abreast of all the laws and the policies and the things that are happening in Canada. So you get a lot of phone calls. Hello, welcome. I see some new people joining. Let us know where you're joining from. And we're just answering some rapid fire questions today on our FAQ Monday. So some of the scams that I see is there's credit card fraud. You have to be very careful about the credit cards that you apply for and the banks that you choose and the kind of credit protections that they offer. There's a lot of Service Canada frauds out there, and just the services in general frauds. People are calling you knowing that you are new to the country. They just have a certain number and then they call people and they're like, there's something wrong with your Service Canada, or there's something wrong with your tax refund. You need to call this number, provide this information, provide your SIN number. And people, not realizing that the Service Canada and a certain number of government will never call you over the phone to ask you for information. They usually just ask you to verify your name and your address, but not your SIN number and your bank details. And then there's also one of the things I've seen is job offer scams. I'm seeing a lot of people get emails or LinkedIn job offers saying that you welcome, you've been accepted to this job. It's a training opportunity. We just need your bank details and we'll train you for the next 3 months. And so there's a lot of that is coming at newcomers, where people are targeting you because they realize that you're new to the country. They realize that you're searching for a job and you're looking to get your foot in the door. So there's a lot of information that you can get from the Canada website about the common scams that target newcomers. I also have a blog post about the common scams that newcomers can avoid, and just get yourself aware very early on. There's also some real estate scams as well when you're coming in and you're looking for a place to rent. There's some Craigslist postings and different postings out there that don't have pictures, or it's too good to be true. It's like a 5-bedroom mansion that's renting for $600. There's so many things. Sometimes you feel that it is a red flag, and if you ever feel that this doesn't sound right, you can always report it to the Canadian Fraud Alert, and make sure that you track them and you report them when you do report them. It lets other people know that they exist, and then the Canadian government will keep updating the scams for newcomers to look out for. Hello, welcome. Thanks for joining. Let's see if we have one more question just to top up on the LinkedIn question is, how do I get recruiters to notice me? Is being active, and it's also not turning off that notification that lets people know that you're looking at their profile, checking out their profile so they see they're looking at your profile. LinkedIn has 2 ways to let recruiters know that you're open to work. You have an open to work circle that you can put on your profile picture. And then you also have the open to work it's a private open to work to let recruiters know that you're open. And then following the companies on LinkedIn, joining LinkedIn professional groups and career groups, and letting people know that you're interested in looking for a job, staying active on LinkedIn. That all helps recruiters notice you. Recruiters see you looking at their profiles. Recruiters see you that you're open to work, and then they see that you're active. If you have a poll that you're interested in a topic or a field, you can share some articles, comment on people's posts, and that will help people see that, okay, this is someone who's actively looking for a job. Because recruiters do run into situations where people have that open to work there just to keep their options open, but when the recruiters start to reach out to them, they're like, not ready right now. So just having the open to work on your profile is not really a good indicator, because recruiters have reached out to people who have it, but they're like, oh, I'm not looking right now. So be sure to make it known and make yourself actively known that you're searching for a job by posting about jobs that you're searching for, things that you're interested in. And recruiters will notice that this is someone who's actively looking. Hello, as you're joining, just let us know where you're joining from. We have some people from Maryland. We have someone from Washington, D.C. We've got BC here. I'm in Vancouver. We've got more people from Vancouver mainline. And if you have any questions about being new to Canada and looking for a job, or being new to Canada and interested in starting a business, just send us your questions. We have about 5 more minutes, and then we'll see you next time. Thanks for joining. So happy to have all of you here. It's so nice to not see you face to face, but get to see your questions in real time. Because I get a lot of questions in my DM, I get a lot of questions in my email, and it's so good to answer your questions as they come. So do we have any other questions? And then I can leave some information about how to find me, how to learn more about Start Grow Pivot. Go to startgrowpivot.com, and we have a YouTube channel that is Start Grow Pivot, one word, where I post videos every Friday on different topics of questions that I get from the FAQ Mondays, questions that I get in my inbox. And right now we're doing a Build to Master series on what are the things that I notice when I meet newcomers and people reach out to me about, I want a job in Canada, and you ask them, what kind of job are you looking for? There's a lot of, stammering and oh, I used to have a marketing degree, but I'm looking here in finance. And usually it's not very clear what they're looking for. And it's hard to help someone when they're not 100% sure of what they're looking for, because their overall goal is to find a job. I just need to get a job. But what kind of job are you looking for? And when you do get that opportunity, what exactly do you want to do, and what do you want me to do to help you? So if you check out my YouTube videos, I have some videos about how to build an elevator pitch. That's a 90 seconds, clear, concise, and impactful elevator pitch to tell people what you're looking for, how they can find you, and then how to do a personal SWOT analysis, and how to look at your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities, and your threats, and basically giving people tools and strategies on how to look for a job and to ask people for what they need when they're presented with an opportunity, because there's a lot of people looking for a job, and that is often not enough for hiring managers to hear that I'm looking for a job in marketing. What exactly do you do? What's your superpower? What is it that helps you stand out? And why should I hire you? You should have those answers at the tips of your fingers. And I find a lot of newcomers don't have those worked out before they start looking for a job. And it's very easy to spot when you get those resumes and cover letters and the people sound very vague and not entirely sure about what they're bringing to the table. So that's where I come in to help you with that. I also have a free career workshop session that you can book with me. I have that link in my bio. It's a one-on-one 30 minutes. We go through your elevator pitch. We go through your strengths and weaknesses. We go through your career goals. And I give you a customized action plan at the end of what you can do for the first 30, 60, and 90 days as you've moved to Canada and you're looking for a job. So that's another way that you can get in touch with me and you can work with me. So do we have any other questions from anyone that's recently joined? And let us know where you're joining from. Hello. That's great. Thank you all so much. If we don't have any other questions, this was really great spending time with you on a Monday. Thank you for spending time with us. And we have another FAQ Monday session on November 2nd. We're thinking about that date because that date is the day before the U.S. election, which Canadians are paying close attention to. Hello, Virginia. And so we'll put out some feelers to see if you all want to come back on November 2nd. If not, we'll have our next session on November 9th when things are more settled and less tense. So thank you so much for joining, and I wish you all a really great night. Thanks for your great questions. Thanks for the energy. Thanks for the loves and the waves. Thanks for the claps. And see you next time. I know. So much to consider now. We can't take anything for granted. All right. Bye, everyone.